When you have an illness, something wrong with you, and you can't move about like you used to, that's when I get a bit nervous of being on my own. But otherwise, I cope quite well on my own. I mean, I've been on my own nearly 28 years, so I should be used to it. But the older you get, the more uncomfortable you feel being on your own. I'm frightened in case something happens to me during the night and then I'm forgotten.
Let's talk about this a little bit more with Jill Shaw Ruddock, who's founder and chair of the Second Half Centre, which is a charity that runs a drop-in centre for older people. Welcome to you. Thanks so much for talking to us. It really is a very difficult time of year for a lot of people, isn't it?
It is, because you have an exploding older population and you have people living a lot longer, and that combined creates a lot more lonely people, and that's what the society is looking at right now.
So what support is there out there? What can be done to tackle what's basically people just feeling very alone at this time of year?
I think that it's sort of remarkable what's happening, because I think this issue is really on the table, both in government, in our religious organizations, throughout local charities. Last week, the church just voted, 400 clergy voted to use the churches as centers of the community on days not of worship. I think that all that's so important, and there is help, but it's just very difficult because the problem is so huge. And you have a situation where clearly loneliness creates illness. I mean, there was a recent study published at the University of Chicago last week making that link between cellular degeneration and loneliness. And I think that until we tackle this at a government level and throughout the NHS, and perhaps using underutilized space in NHS facilities to create hubs of the community where people can do and come together and learn and have fun and exercise and do all the things that they need to do to make sure that the second half of their life is in fact almost as good as the first half, we're not going to be able to tackle this huge issue of isolation.
What about this, you know, it coming down to us as individuals and our responsibility to do something? Increasingly, families do seem to be more fragmented, don't they? They don't all live together like they may have done decades ago. How much is it down to us as individuals to make that extra bit of effort, even if it's not for family, but for a neighbour?
I'm sure that you're aware, in every part of our lives, whether you're a teenager, whether you're a 20-year-old, whether you're a 30-year-old, whether you're a young mother, whether you're 80 years old, being alone is the hardest thing that we have to deal with. And I think that with the, with a real separation now of families, we really do need to extend ourselves as much as we can to not just our own family, but to neighbors and friends. And I think that this whole idea of having community hubs, both in churches and in NHS facilities and in other community buildings, so people know that that's available, it's so important. And I really hope that that becomes a mainstay of each and every community in the UK.
OK, well, Jill Shaw Ruddock, thanks very much indeed for reminding all of us to do that a little bit more. Thanks very much indeed.